overall.
Yes.
So I had no complaints about it.
Yeah.
Other than the actual games themselves.
Yes,
but
unfortunately.
I bet the Ravens overall. I didn't bet the Chiefs-Steelers game, but I did have a little bit on the Ravens yesterday.
I think you had to take the Chiefs. Just like everything works out for them.
I know.
Everything works out for them. They win. They get the 1 seed. They can rest all this time off, get healthy. Mahomes in a big game. Bad rush showing up. Steelers limping in.
I'll ask you again, because it feels like we have to do this every single week, because there's another 3-hour data point that we have to go on with our own eyes. Baltimore plays at KC in the playoffs.
It's going to be a hell of a game.
Who do you like?
Yeah, I know I like Kansas City against Buffalo.
So do I.
But it's
At home?
I think the only team that can beat the Chiefs would be the Ravens. And you saw how the defense has turned it around.
With no Chris Jones yesterday, by the way.
I know. But Baltimore was certainly scary against your Texans, who have quit on the season.
Oh, they're done.
That was unfortunate. That Pittsburgh-Houston playoff game could be the toilet bowl.
Well, I'll tell you, that's based on the number and the line, that could be a very big bet for me on Pittsburgh. This Houston
I'll make
team,
it pick. You got to pound it.
There's no question of betting Pittsburgh.
I'd lay 3 too.
No doubt.
Absolutely, yeah.
That won't even hesitate.
Yeah, even though the Steelers are limping in, but it just shows you how bad and demoralized the Texans are. But right, without Jones, but you just see how many weapons they have now and how he can just choose. If he's not going to scramble and beat you with his feet, I'll just pick you apart. Here's Kelsey, who was 14-1 to have the most receiving yards yesterday. Little Kelsey, little Worthy, little Brown, little Gray. Good luck stopping it when they're cooking and got it working. And, they got a nasty defense.
Here's what's going to be a killer. They're finally peaking the way it looks. I think they're finally playing their best football of the year, and that's a team that's 15-1.
Yeah, having fun, though, too.
And there's so much doubt, and they're, just the cynicism and, that's not going to happen again. They stink. They're winning all these one close games, not going to continue. They're going to lose. Doesn't matter if they get home field. And now we've watched them play a couple of times lately, and they're like, yeah, they're the best team in football probably again. It's ridiculous, dude.
And the fat man deserves a lot of credit. He is now plus 375 for Coach of the Year. All these injuries could go 16-1.
I don't disagree.
I mean, he's got to be right there.
He's got to be one of the finalists, right?
Yep, right. For what they've done to overcome all these injuries, and it's an incredible job what they're doing. You want to say, well, they have the best player. I'm telling you, chemistry matters. Chemistry counts. You see how much fun they're having. You see they're embracing the outfits and the jackets that they have, and then they look, and here comes Andy Reid dressed as Santa Claus after the game. Yep. And it's a great locker room and a great organization to be a part of.
Concern here, when you go back and look at history, good tweet from Joe NFL, Chiefs 15-1, first team to win 15 games in the 17-game regular season since it started in 2021. You go back and look at history, the teams that won 15 games. The 07 Pats, 16-0, of course, they lost the Super Bowl. 2015 Carolina were 15-1. They lost in the Super Bowl. 2011 Packers 15-1. They lost in the divisional round. Your Vikings in 1998 somehow, some way lost conference championship game. People forget about this team, Pittsburgh in 2004, 15-1. They couldn't even make the Super Bowl. So San Francisco was 15-1 back in 1984. They won the whole thing, as did the 85 Bears. It was only a 14-game regular season when the 72 Dolphins won it.
Well, you have that angle, and then how it's been impossible to three-peat. So that's what's up against them.
Mm-hmm.
But do you want to get in front of Baltimore right now? And it goes back to this is, some people said it was over. There was too much football left. So Josh Allen has gone from the 1 to 10 or 1,200. Now, minus 180 yesterday was too low. Now he's back up to 240. But now we have a race for MVP because you can't ignore what Lamar has done with a 39-4 touchdown INT ratio, plus almost 1,000 yards rushing, 4 rushing touchdowns, and the head-to-head, they won 35-10. This is a great race and a great debate.
There's a chance here that Josh Allen doesn't play in Week 18. If they have nothing to play for.
That's right. And Lamar should go up and down the field against Cleveland.
Sure.
Got to have
for the division.
1,600 now to win the division.
There you go. And then maybe for seeding as well. So if Allen only has one more game left and Jackson has one more game left.
Yes.
So basically that's going to be a 2-to-1 ratio when you have to include the game yesterday. That I think could be potentially very big for Lamar Jackson.
He could have like 950 yards rushing. Let's say 40-some touchdowns, 4 interceptions, and over 4,000 yards. Yep. And he has the head-to-head where they buried him. You want to say, well, Henry, whatever, but this is, Flowers is good. He's not great. Henry's good. But what he's doing, and just you see, take off 50 yards, bam, touchdown.
Andrew, the tight end combo is awesome.
Right.
They have a ton of talent.
But it's also him keeping the play alive.
Oh, no, I understand.
I got to come up. He's going to run. Nope, I'm going to dump it off to Andrews. Big play. How about the touchdown pass? Just buying time to what a throw.
Oh, he's so good.
Yeah.
I honestly don't have a problem with either guy winning the award at this point. I think what you're going to find out is that people are pushing Lamar Jackson. They have a bet on him. And the people who are pushing Josh Allen, who I have a hedge on actually, are going to be pushing him. But I'm not pushing him because I can see other guy winning. I have no problem right now if the season ended today if Lamar Jackson was the MVP and I lost my... And by the way, my Allen bet was a hedge on my Jared Goff bet from the preseason. And that was way before Allen it was still plus money when I bet him. I have nothing on Lamar Jackson, but I also find it funny that people are saying that if Josh Allen doesn't finish with the 1 seed, that's going to nick him when it comes to the narrative around the vote. And yet Jared Goff could finish with 40-plus touchdowns on a team that's 15-2 and not even be in the consideration for the MVP.
And Barkley can still break Dickerson's record.
And have no chance to win.
Yeah, he only needs 280 yards. Right, no chance. Absolutely. So it's kind of like the Heisman discussion. You say, well, you don't want to knock these guys down. It's a tough race. Coach of the year, tough debate, hard pick. MVP, tough pick. Yeah. But you're not going to sit here and say, well, anti-Allen, anti-Lamar stuff. They're both incredible. But I would give it to Lamar right now. And your good point about what could happen in Week 18.
Now, with that said, again, as we get closer here to the playoffs, when we did our Super Bowl teams that could win a couple weeks ago, the list was like almost 9 deep. In the AFC, to me, it's a list of 3 teams at this point. Right? It's Kansas City, Buffalo, and Baltimore. That's it. We're not talking about there's not going to be a team like Pitt. Come on. The Pittsburgh weaponry on offense, it doesn't exist. They're not good enough. These other teams that are going to eventually make it as well, Houston, they're a dead team limping into the playoffs. Mm-hmm. And the other 2 teams from the West, Denver, the Chargers, I would be stunned if either one of those teams would win the AFC. Stunned.
Right.
So I think we're down to 3 there in the AFC.
No, I hope it doesn't happen because I want Baltimore, Buffalo for the right to go to the AFC title game. That'd be great in that matchup, too.
NFC, totally wide open, I think.
Yeah. How about this now? The Packers are favored in Minnesota. What am I missing here?
Surprised by that?
Yes. The game doesn't mean anything for them.
Well, people evidently think that the Packers... that's exactly right.
Yes.
It's a meaningless game.
Yes.
Vikings can still get the 1 seed.
Yeah.
But
and beat them. And at a big... We're turnovers, but at a big lead in Lambeau.
Yeah. The power rating on Green Bay has been sky high the entire year, and the power rating on Minnesota, by the way, has not been, I think... Paul, how much, again, does this factor in? His name is Sam Darnold.
Yeah, it's got a lot to do with it. Getting juicy.
How does it not?
Yeah.
If you just...
Good job, DraftKings, too. They reposted Comeback Player of the Year. Sam Darnold is plus 450. Burrow's $4. Good job.
I will say this. When the other books reposted again, I think it was on Sunday night or Monday of this week, or maybe Monday night, J.K. Dobbins was still second on the board. Books have no idea how to price this award market. They have no clue. Mm-hmm. That's why several of them just said, I'm not going to post it anymore.
Right. Patrick has to be higher. Find me a better story.
I think Darnold should be probably favored right now over Joe Burrow.
Yeah.
Opening day, Santa Anita. Jeff Siegel joins the program coming up next with First Bet. We'll get some of his best bets here on VSiN.
Time. There's nothing more valuable. It's what drives everyone to make the most of every moment. We celebrate living large in the now. In a city where time disappears, we create experiences that electrify the soul and memories that will last forever. We go big. We go all night. And here, everyone is invited. So get loose and get loud.
This is Circa. You'll have the time of your life.
On the next episode of Prop Points, we'll break down and recap Thursday Night Football's action between the Seattle Seahawks and the Chicago Bears. We'll also get you ready with some valuable fantasy data, player props, and touchdown props for Saturday's 3-game slate, and of course, all of Sunday's action. And we'll be joined by Fantasy Points Scott Barrett to preview some NFL DFS plays. I'm John Hansen. Tune in to Friday's episode of Prop Points at 2 p.m. Eastern on VSiN, the Sports Betting Network.
So, Paulie, have you had a chance to read the VSiN Daily yet?
Yeah, came in at 3 a.m. What's Bill doing up that late?
Well, rumor has it starts off with a 12-hour meditation session.
Then he just pours himself over film and live TV, really focusing and taking it all in. Bill's in with the biggest insiders, talking trade secrets, strategies, the whole nine, absorbing the info.
And then and only then can the writing process begin.
In Las Vegas, Bill's Late Night becomes your early morning. Wake up to the very latest betting insights in your inbox with the VSiN Daily. Sign up for free at vsin.com/newsletter.
This is Follow the Money on VSiN.
Big day today, Paulie, with the ponies. Opening day, Santa Anita. Jeff Siegel, the man, the myth, the legend, joins the program now with First Bet, and he is on the Progressive guest line to give out some best bets today. Jeff, good afternoon. Thanks for the time. How are you?
I'm great. How are you guys doing today?
Doing really well.
Good, sir.
Let's begin with this. As it is opening day at Santa Anita, how special is opening day to you? How many times have you been there for opening day overall? And where does this track rank in your mind?
Well, let's see. All right, let's start off with the first question. I don't remember ever missing one, and I know that my first day at Santa Anita was in 1959. So whatever that adds up to, that's what I've been. I started going here when I was like 8 years old, and my dad used to take me, and then I started working at the racetrack right around 1974, right in that area. So, and I don't remember missing any unless I was sick, which I don't remember. So, I don't know, 60 some odd, more than that, I guess, 65.
That's incredible.
Yeah, no, I mean, I don't live too far, so I can't use traffic as an excuse. So I'm working.
Good for you. What a life. Living the dream and your favorite track.
Yeah.
No doubt.
It is. Yeah.
How about let's get some winners here, and you're the best at it. Let's go to the 8th race with Malibu, the Malibu race. Break it down for us, please.
Well, this race changed a little bit because Ben Tornado, who was going to be the lone speed in the race, he was second in the Breeders' Cup Sprint last time out. He was scratched. So the whole complexion of the race changes, and that's favorable for number 8, Raging Torrent, who's now the lone speed. And he might be able to outrun the Kentucky Derby winner, Mystic Dan, who was making his first start since finishing unplaced in the Belmont. Now, originally, when I handicapped this race, I said, okay, there's plenty of speed in the race to set it up for a closer. And that's Mystic Dan, who arrived from New Orleans, where he just vanned in for the race. And this, again, first start for him in many, many months for him. But he looks great. But on the other hand, now the race shape changes. So I was prepared to tell you Mystic Dan, but now with Ben Tornado out of the race, I'm wondering if Raging Torrent gets loose on the lead and then rolls all the way to the wire. And I'm not sure what's going to happen, but you can use them both in an exacta box one way or the other. I think those are the two, and it's just a matter of how much pressure, if any, Raging Torrent's going to get early. If he doesn't get any, he could be gone. But Mystic Dan looks great. I saw him in the morning a couple of days ago, and I'm expecting him to return to his Derby form. Even though this race is 7 furlongs, not a mile and a quarter, he still might have the class to get up. So it's a tough call, but a good race.
Okay, and then potentially here 6 and the 8 in the exacta, like you said. Our buddy Mike Somich was making a case for Senior Officer, the number 4 in this race. That horse also scratched. Did you have a high opinion on that horse or no?
Yeah, no, I liked him, and he's another one that he would have been, right in the middle somewhere. So Senior Officer was definitely going to be a contender. but he scratched as well. So we had a great race, the final grade 1 of the year for 3-year-olds. These horses will turn and face older horses after the first of the year. This would have been one of the best Malibus I've seen in many, many years. It's still a good race. Anytime you have the Derby winner in it, you got a good race, but it would have been a little bit more competitive, I think, and it would have taken a little bit more a little deeper than I've given you in terms of the handicapping, because I think the two that remain in the race are pretty good. But you add Senior Officer in there and Ben Tornado, now you got yourself a Malibu for the ages.
Okay, how about the Oaks and race number 11, please?
Well, we got a filly named She Feels Pretty, who comes off a Grade 1 win at Keeneland back in October. She was magnificent in that day. She's won 4 out of 7, but she's never been better. I saw her breeze on the dirt the other day here out in the morning, and she looked fantastic. So even though she hasn't run since October, She Feels Pretty should outclass this field. Again, probably a short price, and she's going to have to go 1.25 miles, which she hasn't done yet, but I don't think that's going to be a bother. There's one other filly in the race that's really, really good, though. Her name is Catherine and Marissa, and I think I don't know if she's good enough to beat She Feels Pretty, but she's certainly good enough to beat everybody else, and that's my exact box here in the 11th race, 84488. She Feels Pretty for Catherine and Marissa. She's getting better with every start. She will go 1.25 miles, and she's going to give the favorite a run for her money. That said, She Feels Pretty has got a little bit better resume, so I think she deserves top billing, but those two fillies are head and shoulders above the rest.
Okay, and that's the 8 and the 11. A bunch of other races still to come at Santa Anita today. Any other race in between, 6, 7, 9, 10 that are still coming up here, Jeff, that you really, really like?
Well, yeah, I mean, we got a race called the San Gabriel in the 7th race, but that's going to be a real short price in Johannes. He's 6 for 6 at Santa Anita. There is absolutely no reason to pick against him. So I think he'll win. But again, he's probably going to be odds on. As far as some of the other races are concerned, they're a little bit more wide open. We have a race coming up as the 7th. The 8th race. Let's see. Let me turn my page here. Hopefully I get that to you. Let's see what we got here. Hang on just for a second. I'm doing this one-handed, so just bear with me for a minute.
Yeah, no problem. The 8 is the Malibu, so I think it must be the 9 or the 10.
I got it. Okay. The 8th race the 9th race is a good race. That is a race that's called the La Brea. And we've got a filly in here who is really good, and her name is Hope Road. Now, she was not trained by Bob Baffert last year. She was okay, not great. This year, she's a perfect 4 for 4 after being switched to Baffert's barn. I think she's really solid. Again, there's been a couple of scratches in there, so that she was 3-1 in the morning line. I don't know if she'll be that, but I like her outside draw. A couple of speed horses scratched. I think she'll dominate. I think she'll go from 4 for 4 to 5 for 5 since joining the Baffert barn. Her mother, by the way, won the Breeders' Cup Filly Mare Sprint a number of years ago, so there's a lot of class in the pedigree. So I do think she's going to continue her winning ways. Her name is Hope Road. She is number 9 in the program.
Very good. And that's race number 10. Jeff, you're the best. Thanks so much for the time today. Hope you had a great Christmas and happy holidays, okay?
I did, and same to you guys. Have a happy New Year as well.
Back at you.
Thank you, sir. All right, opening day, Santa Anita. Right now, sign up firstbet.com. Promo code VSiN200. Get a 20% rebate on your bets for the first 60 days up to $200. Don't miss out on all the action. Firstbet.com, promo code VSiN200. Go get him today. Good luck, and good luck, Mr. Siegel.
Okay, that's probably the most impressive thing that we're going to hear all day today. He's been to every opening day at Santa Anita since 1959. It's pretty good.
Yeah.
All right.
Hell of a life.
Okay, so now, tonight, 20 more people are on the Seattle Seahawks in Circa Survivor. One person was on Houston yesterday.
Can you believe that? That's terrible. Not the pick. It's just how you can't even sweat it. Once they got the goal line stand, the game was over. 17-2.
You can't score a touchdown in the game.
Yeah,
the entire game is garbage time, and you can't get one across. You scored a safety, and that's it.
Yeah. Same for the 4 people on the Steelers. You're never in the game after the second quarter.
Oh, it's over with.
Just a tough way to go out. Condolences.
So 11 got by with the Ravens. Never a sweat. 20 on the Seahawks, like I said. That's 44.4% of the remaining pool, at least before yesterday. 6 teams on Chicago.
Yes, and one of them, David Baker, former Westgate winner, poker pro on this network all the time. He's on the pregame with us at 4:30, 7:30 Eastern. Can't wait to talk to him. He'll break it down or why they decided to do it, and math and poker and all that. But they've lost 9 in a row. So I'm interested to see his strategy. The other great thing, and I got this from Chris Massaro, Crackman says CP Picks, who's the only person with 2 left, used both on Seattle. They were the people. CP were the person that bought Scott Tribuco's entry. Tribuco only had the Bears left. That was the person on Survivor Sweat that paid $130,000 for Scott Tribuco's entry. They are guaranteed to move to next week.
Okay,
till Sunday, rather.
That move right there is an A+.
Concur.
I had no idea it was CP3 until you told me.
That's what Crack said, yeah.
Not CP3, yeah. CP Sports.
CP Picks, whatever.
Yeah.
CP Picks.
Yeah, CP Picks, yeah.
CP3PO.
As soon as you told me that, my reaction was, I absolutely love that they did that. It's brilliant, in my opinion. That's my gut reaction, and I'm not going to change from that. So now they're good to go moving forward here. Yeah. And by the way, so here's the thing. Would you rather have, if you're them, would you rather have you get by with 2 tonight on Seattle, and you're going to have, what, at that point, 34 left? Or would you rather have Scotty's ticket that they bought with the Bears on it, and because that way you're going to wipe away your 2 tickets on Seattle, but also 18 other people, and you're going to be down to, what, 19 people? 20 people. 20 people at that point.
If you have the Colts available and you use the Colts against the Giants Sunday, and then away you go. But that would, either way, they're in a great spot. And Paul Bovey was one of the 3 on the Chiefs.
Yeah.
So he moves across. And I'll tell you, looking at it, though, it's going to be hard to navigate Week 18. What if the Chargers win? What if the Rams win? They have nothing to play for. They're sitting people. There are some tough games out there.
Yeah.
Week 18, it's going to be tough. It's also easy. You would think it'd be easy to chop, though, too. Well, it could be 20 people. It could be 15 people. Can you all, I'll ask this Mike Palm tomorrow. Can you just get everyone on the phone and say, hey, we're all using the same team? Do you trust people, though? That's
no,
a big
absolutely
trick.
not.
Right.
No.
Let's just agree we all pick the same team. And then
way easier said than done, in my opinion.
Probably, yes.
And you, going back to last week, check that Monday. You're super strong in Seattle tonight, right?
I love Seattle.
Oh,
yeah.
you love Seattle.
Yeah.
I thought that was what you
Let's
said.
get a little crazy. It's up to 4.5, though.
Oh, yeah?
So, and I'm still worried that they know they're probably unlikely to make the playoffs, though.
Championship weekend fantasy football. Hall of Famer Paul Charchian will give his best advice. What's the strategy if you're in a big hole after yesterday's results?
Sports betting game with VSiN's exclusive betting splits. Stay ahead with real-time market trends and track bet percentages on any matchup. Then uncover the edge by comparing them to the amount of bets placed to find out where the sharp money is headed. Upgrade to VSiN Pro to access betting splits, live odds, line moves, power ratings, and in-depth game analysis. Go to vsin.com/pro to join VSiN, the sports betting network.
This is VSiN, the sports betting network.
This is Follow the Money on VSiN.
Welcome back. Hardcore Football, next two segments every Thursday at this time. Fantasy Football Hall of Famer Paul Charchian joins the program, and he is on the Progressive Guest Line, guillotineleagues.com, podcast called Fantasy Football Weekly. Happy holidays, Charch. Thanks for the time as always. How are you?
I'm doing great. How was your first Christmas with Sebastian?
It was pretty special. It was awesome to watch him. You know, he's 8 months. He has no idea what this is about, obviously. Yeah. But he's having fun, trying, opening up presents, or trying to anyway, but then just staring at the tree with the lights and everything. Smile was on his face for a majority of yesterday and all day today, so that's pretty cool,
Yeah, Christmas is so different when you've got young kids, and it's just so much, it just takes on all new meaning. I love it. Sadly for me, my daughter wrecked Christmas early, and here's how it went down. It's summer, and she loses a tooth, and she's doing a lot of back and forth on whether or not she wants to put the tooth under the pillow for the tooth fairy, or she wants to save the tooth. And she ultimately decides she's not going to do it. She's going to save the tooth. So she puts it on her nightstand. Tooth fairy does not come. Unbeknownst to me, she had changed her mind in the night and put the tooth under the pillow. Next morning, she comes charging into my room, my bedroom, wakes me up, and says, "The tooth fairy's not real, and neither is Santa Claus." This was at 5 years old, Dad, and that's it. It was over. The whole thing's over. Maybe 6 years old.
So what? Yeah. You just looked at her and said, "Yeah, you're right."
No, I neither confirmed nor denied, and just left it ambiguous because I didn't want to confirm in that moment. But she managed to draw the parallel right there.
Bad
Tooth Fairy and Santa.
Yeah,
that was.
You just woke up. I mean, you're in a tough spot there.
Yeah, that is right. That is a tough spot right there. Yes.
Condolences. Go back to Thanksgiving. Uncle Gary with the yams down the pants. That way no one gets hurt. Ridiculous. Good story. Great job. Okay, so what advice do you have now that we're in the title game here for all the marbles, and I could be playing from behind because there were so many big performances yesterday?
Right. So, okay, if you played against some combination of Patrick Mahomes, Travis Kelce, Derrick Henry, or Lamar Jackson, you've got a massive deficit to overcome. If you look at your rosters right now, if this thing plays out 10 times, you're going to lose 8. Well, don't stand pat on this roster. You're going to have to do something. You got to go for a Hail Mary. And there's going to be some people here that do that. So here's the ways you could try to make up the deficit. And again, these are all long shots, but we need something special. One, pick a quarterback who can run and pray for some rushing touchdowns. I mean, that would be one way. And even if the quarterback's an incapable passer, maybe you get lucky. Number 2, combine a quarterback and a receiver. Even, and these are guys are going to have to be up the waiver wire, right? So you have to find quarterback and receiver up the waiver wire who have a promising matchup. I'll give you a couple examples in a minute here. And these would be high upside receivers, that people that would not normally be available. But here's two examples for you. Tennessee's Mason Rudolph, this is against Jacksonville, throwing to either Chig Okonkwo if you need a tight end, or Nick Westbrook-Ikine. And again, these are players that would be available on the waiver wire. Mm-hmm. Jacksonville giving up the most passing fantasy points in the league. So, and Mason Rudolph he's actually running some touchdowns. You might get lucky on that. Bryce Young is running touchdowns in 3 of the last 4 games. You could combine him with the marble-mouthed Xavier Legette as a possibility there. And they're going up against Tampa. That defense that secondary is ravaged by injury right now. They got 5 guys as questionable. They got 3 guys on IR. So that's a possibility. So again, Hail Marys, I just think don't stand pat. Don't just wait for the inevitable. If you're down 20, 30 points already, you got to have something special happen. Desperate times, desperate measures.
Right. Yeah, I kind of like that for sure. Okay, so what about Eagles skilled players, right? Maybe even like a Saquon Barkley, definitely A.J. Brown, Devontae Smith. I'm looking at a report right now on Twitter as of 2 hours ago. Jalen Hurts was not on the field today at the start of practice. Yep. What would you want to do here?
I know. So, okay. Hurts is trying to get him through the concussion protocol. Have no idea if he's going to be able to play on Sunday. But also, Kenny Pickett might not play. So he had the rib injury, and his status is unknown. Rib injuries on quarterbacks are not trivial, and his ability to start and finish the game is very much in doubt. The third stringer, and you have no reason to know this, Tanner McKee, who would be he's never thrown an NFL pass in his life. He would be the third option here. So if it's Saquon Barkley, you have to start no matter what. But A.J. Brown starts coming into question here. You might have somebody who's safer, particularly if this Pickett thing comes down to the wire. You might have to go another way. And I'll mention this as well. The matchup with the Cowboys, Dallas's cornerback, Deron Bland, is really good, and he's very physical. He loves the physical matchups. He put the clamps on Mike Evans last week. They're going to deploy him on A.J. Brown in this game. So that could be an X factor to consider here as well. If Hurts starts, obviously it's all game on for everybody. But as these quarterbacks get shakier as we go down, A.J. Brown starts getting into real question, and Devonta Smith's not even on the radar for me.
Okay, let me give you 2 updates within the last half an hour.
Thank you.
T. Higgins now questionable for Saturday for the Bengals. Yeah. And Ian Rappaport moments ago breaking the news that CD Lamb is out for the year.
Out for the year, yes. So isn't that huge?
Right, based on all this and what you're saying. So imagine if you have CD Lamb or maybe like a T. Higgins type, and you already played, like you said, some of the guys yesterday who put up huge numbers. You're going to have to probably get very creative here charging championship week.
Right, and that answer might not be on your bench. You might have to go free agent and just start playing matchups in the cases that I mentioned. Let me explain the Higgins thing and why this is super important for Jamar Chase. They're playing against Patrick Surtain and the Denver Broncos. Surtain shadows opposing best receivers. When there's one really good receiver on the opposing team, he goes into shadow mode. If T. Higgins is on the field, Surtain can't shadow all the time because T. Higgins is too good. And they would use Surtain much more evenly. If Higgins is on the field, then if he is on the field, then that's the case. If he's not on the field, then I worry that it's going to be Surtain on Chase, and that makes Chase, who's been awesome, he's going to win the Triple Crown. That would put Chase on Surtain, and now I'm worried that we've got a lot more vulnerability for Jamar Chase. You'd still have to start him, but the outcomes might not be as good.
Yeah, I love Washington Sunday night, and Daniels, if you had him, took you into the Super Bowl. Do you think he has a huge game against Atlanta?
Yeah, statement win last week. 5 touchdowns against the Philly defense. And there are people that are diminishing that Commanders win because it was Kenny Pickett on the field for most of the game. But he wasn't on the field on the defense. I mean, Jaden Daniels threw 5 touchdowns on the Eagles defense. And here comes the Falcons. They've allowed the most touchdowns in the league. And this, despite the fact that they've faced Drew Lock and Desmond Ridder the past 2 weeks, and they've still allowed 28 passing touchdowns. Even those guys managed to score touchdowns. The last starting quarterback to face Atlanta, Sam Darnold, 5 touchdowns. So I love Jaden Daniels here. I've got him at quarterback 4 this week, and it's a smash spot for him. Love him this week.
Where would he rank overall, season to date, right? As the fantasy football MVP, where would you put him? And then who would actually be the winner of that in your mind?
Well, the fantasy MVP, I don't think Jaden Daniels is in that conversation because he did go through a pretty sizable slump, and they've really dialed back his running, which is too bad. Your fantasy MVPs, it's 3 guys. Jamar Chase, who we mentioned, Triple Crown. Lamar Jackson, what he's doing right now. And I don't understand why there's such a big margin between him and Josh Allen for the real life MVP, but that's another conversation. Touchdowns in every game, 3 or more touchdowns, 9 different times for Lamar Jackson. He's been great, but I think it's Saquon Barkley. And he's got the biggest margin between him and the next closest player at his position, and completely reborn. He's, challenging the Dickerson record. This, despite the fact that he labored for 2 years in with the Giants and looked terrible. And the amazing thing about Saquon's production, his quarterback has housed 14 of his touchdowns.
Yeah,
I mean, you can be this good and have your quarterback take 14 of your touchdowns away. Unbelievable.
VSiN has the ultimate gift for you or the sports better in your life. Take advantage of our holiday special. Get VSiN Pro access, everything we do through May 1st, just $79. The website loaded as always. Great stuff up there on a good NBA card. The Thursday night game, all the bowl games. Nigel had a big winner in soccer at 3-1. Everything up there on a daily basis, VSiN.com, and the Prop Analyzer, which is phenomenal. Make this holiday season unforgettable. VSiN.com/subscribe. Unwrap your winning edge today. 24/7 video access and the best bets and all the guides. VSiN.com/subscribe.
I'll tell you what, Charge, I play in one league where kickers are still a part of it. And the length of the kick actually matters.
Oh, God, Aubrey.
Oh, great. I love that.
I'm wondering, like, next year in a league like that, how high is Brandon Aubrey going to go?
Oh. The reason people don't generally take kickers is because the margin at very high in fantasy drafts is the margin between them is so small, you can make do with anybody. But he's so special. And if, he's the guy who can knock in 62-yarders. And depending on how much that ramps up your scoring, that's a pretty big factor. That guy's he's trending to the best kicker we've ever seen.
Paulie agrees. In certain leagues like that, he might be worth 20 points a week based on the length of the field goals. Anyway, more with Paul Charchian up next. Thursday Night Football preview with player props. Does the red-hot play from Jackson Smith and Jigba and Keenan Allen continue tonight?
Got a good thing coming, so wait and see. It's a good.
You spoke, we listened. Introducing the all-new VSiN Watch app. Now, you can watch and listen to VSiN expert analysis live wherever you are. Missed a show? No problem. Catch replays of VSiN's full lineup at any time. View highlights sorted by sport. Or use the search feature to find specific teams and topics you're looking for. And the best part? It's free for a limited time. Download the VSiN Watch app today. Available now on the App Store and Google Play. And join us on the Sports Betting Network.
This is Follow the Money on VSiN.
We have a lot to discuss with tonight's Thursday night matchup. Seahawks playing at the Bears here on Boxing Day, and we continue with Fantasy Football Hall of Famer Paul Charchian as he is on the progressive guest line. Seahawks wide receiver Jackson Smith-Njigba has been smoking hot as of late.
Yeah,
the targets through the to the moon, the receptions, the yards, all great numbers. Like for the past, I think 6-7 weeks overall. Do you think that continues tonight against this Bears defense?
Yeah, top 10 fantasy wide receiver over the last 2 months, Jackson, and he's completely become the focal point of the passing game. And Tyler Lockett's just buried and dead now, and even DK Metcalf taking a backseat to Jackson Smith-Njigba. But I want to just point out a very tough matchup because he hasn't had that many of them, especially lately. He goes up against Kyler Gordon for the Bears. He's their pure slot corner. He's given up 1 touchdown in his coverage all year. I would not bet the Jackson Smith-Njigba touchdown here. Gordon's average game allowed in his coverage, 2 catches for 28 yards. And so this is, I'm starting Jackson Smith-Njigba. He's still, you can't not play him based on that. I'm not saying he won't produce at all, but I am saying this is a tougher than normal matchup, and you might get worse results than what we've seen in the past.
All right. Zach Charbonnet, the last time that he played and Kenneth Walker did not, it was against Arizona, and Charbonnet had a day for the ages, and he was amazing, and he hit like every prop, and he went over alternate numbers, and it was a huge day for him. Yep. Do you think that continues for him tonight with no Walker? He's inactive for the Seahawks.
It's a gigantic game coming. Unfortunately, the odds are all taking that into account. We're not going to catch anybody by surprise here, but and I hate to say this, but Kenneth Walker getting ruled out is great for fantasy because he'd been playing hurt for 6 weeks and we had been, trying to start him and he's been bad. And this clarifies the situation a lot. In the 3 games in which Kenneth Walker has missed, Charbonnet has been awesome, finishing as running back 8, running back 6, and then 2 weeks ago, running back 1 across fantasy football in those weeks. Seattle loves to use Charbonnet at the stripe. He has had goal line carries in every game he started, including 4 goal line carries 2 weeks ago. And that brings into play, you could look at the 2 touchdown prop on Charbonnet. It's only plus 290, which I don't love, but that's still in play here. He could end up with those 2 touchdowns. The Bears run defense bad all year and trending worse lately. Over the last 5 weeks, they've allowed the most fantasy points to opposing runners. And so the Bears run defense has packed it in. Zach Charbonnet is my number 3 ranked running back this week. At a brand name guys you've been starting every week. This is a smash spot tonight.
Okay, so the Bears left guard and left tackle are out. What do you think of the matchup for Williams and Chicago players?
Don't like it. First, just everything's broken in Chicago, but you're missing your left guard and your left tackle. That's the blind side. Caleb Williams can be skittish anyway. He takes a ton of sacks. I see this. I don't like this. His go-to receiver has been Keenan Allen, who's been feasting on easy slot matchups. That's going to dry up here because Seattle's best cornerback is in the slot, Devin Witherspoon. You'll remember him last year. He finished 4th in Defensive Rookie of the Year voting. He's only given up 1 touchdown all year. So if Keenan Allen can't get going, I need Williams then under duress from his blind side to start throwing to other players. So I don't like this Bears offense tonight at all. And so there's a lot of concern here.
Let's follow the money here on VSiN, the Sports Betting Network. Our guest, Fantasy Football Hall of Famer Paul Charchian here on the Progressive Guest Line. Paulie and I were going back and forth on Monday. When Achane decided to score that touchdown late, it screwed like people who were betting live numbers to the under, right? But I said I think he was maybe doing that for his fantasy owners, right? As like a tip of the cap, like, hey, man, this is for you. What do you think of his prospects this week against the Browns?
Well, he's got one particular angle we can attack. Achane's been a very good receiving back to this point. But we're going to take the under 36.5 receiving yards against Cleveland, and I'm going to explain why. And it's a couple of things. First, he's been under 36.5 receiving yards in half his game, so it would not be unexpected. But Cleveland's amazing in this department. Despite all the disarray that's around the Cleveland Browns, this is the one thing they've been really great at. The Browns rank number 2 in receptions allowed to runners. They rank number 3 in receiving yards allowed to runners. Today's receiving line, 36.5 receiving yards. We're going under again. In the 15 games the Browns have played, 14 of them have had no runner hit this line of 36.5. 14 out of 15.
Wow.
And the one guy who did hit it was way back in week 4. Of the 15 lead backs against the Browns this year, here's their average receiving game. 2 catches for 12.5 yards. Way under this line of 36.5.
Oh, that is awesome.
Good job. Good job. Walk me through the thought process Saturday night with Cooper Kupp.
Yeah, he's been something weird. I think something weird is happening. Almost baffling. Last week against the Jets, they didn't deploy Cooper Kupp despite the fact that the Jets slot corner Michael Carter missed the game. You would have, against backup cornerback Isaiah Oliver in the past, Sean McVay would have pounded Cooper Kupp with 14 targets. He got 3. The week before that, he didn't have a catch. So Cooper Kupp on this 2-game slide, something's up. I don't like it. And here comes a thornier than you would expect Arizona defense. I would, under a different circumstance, I'd be like, hey, we're going to try to get Cooper Kupp back up and running here. But I don't think that's going to be the case. Cardinals, a sneaky, competent secondary. Over the last 5 games, they rank 8th best in yards allowed to wide receivers. The last 2 games, no receivers top 44 yards against the Cardinals. Cooper Kupp's line, by the way, 50.5 receiving yards. So we're gonna play the under on this. Kupp put up only 37 yards in the earlier matchup with the Cardinals, although he got hurt later in the game. Now, Mitch and Paulie, can we agree? Puka Nacua is the number 1 receiver for the Rams.
Yes.
Absolutely. Mm-hmm. Against the Cardinals, the number 1 guys get paid. Listen to what the number 2 guys get. Here's what the second best receivers are doing against the Cardinals this year. They are averaging 3.5 catches for 38 yards. Oh. That's it. Of the 15 games Arizona has played, only 3 number 2 receivers have gone over Kupp's line of 50.5 receiving yards. And last thing I'll mention is there's a very long-winded answer. Thank you for your patience. Arizona's best cornerback is their slot cornerback. His name's Garrett Williams. He's giving up a 59% completion rate. And in his coverage, he's giving up per game averages of 2 catches for 19 yards.
That's incredible. That is awesome.
All right. Cooper Kupp under 50.5 receiving yards.
I'll ask you this. How about this rookie who could emerge and help people win leagues this weekend alone? He has a very easy matchup against the Carolina defense. What are your expectations for Bucky Irving?
I love Bucky Irving. He is so good. On talent, he's one of the 5 best running backs in the league. His line is not trivial. It's 78.5, and we're still going over. And it's going to sound like a lot right now, but wait until we start talking about Carolina here. 6 of the past 7 lead runners to face Carolina haven't just gone over the 78.5. They've obliterated that number. Those 6 runners over the last 6 weeks, Alvin Kamara, Tyrone Tracy, Saquon Barkley, Rico Dowdle, James Conner, and Bucky Irving himself averaged 133 rushing yards. And again, this line is 78.5. And Bucky Irving's line in that game when they match up was 152 yards. And Irving is great. I mean, for people who don't realize how good he is, Bucky Irving ranks 3rd in yards per carry. He ranks 3rd in avoided tackle rate. And he ranks 1st by a mile in yards after contact. He's 4.2 yards after contact. And then there's just this, as an add-on. Last week, for the first time all year, it was all Bucky Irving for the Buccaneers. Rashad White and Sean Tucker combined for 3 carries. It's possible that offensive coordinator Liam Cohen has finally decided, well, we've known all year that Bucky Irving is awesome, and they can't keep the committee going. They have to get the ball to Bucky Irving for a team that can't afford to lose any games. So Bucky Irving over 78.5.
30 seconds. Are you surprised the Packers are favored in Minnesota?
I'm not, because the margin of victory, they are crushing their opponents, and the Vikings are squeaking by theirs. So I can see where it feels like the margin of victory is tilted towards the Packers. Vikings haven't beaten a really good team in a very long time. So yeah, I can understand why the betting public's on Packers.
Yeah, and then quickly to follow it up, you like Aaron Jones over 2.5 catches.
I do. This is one of the ways you can attack the Packers. They've really struggled over the past 4 weeks, allowing the most running back receptions and the most running back receiving touchdowns.
Charge,
thank you.
You're the best. You're a Hall of Famer for a reason. We love talking to you. You're taking next week off because it's a dead week, obviously, for fantasy, but you're going to pop back on during the playoffs.
Yeah, we will talk fantasy props all playoffs long. Can't wait.
Excellent. Thank you, buddy.
Thanks, friends.
Appreciate it.
Bye-bye.
Thank you. I'd like to bother him though if Lions Vikings is for the 1 seed, But I understand. Take us everywhere you want to go. With the VSiN Watch app, never been easier to stay connected to the action, whether you're on your phone, tablet, or your smart TV. Absolutely free for a limited time with the VSiN Watch app. Replays of your favorite shows streamed directly to your smart TV. Quick access to clips by sport, tailored to your interest. Don't miss out. Get the VSiN Watch app. Stay in the game wherever you are.
Charch just texted me. He said I can't be bothered. We'll get into soccer up next. The Meat Man Steve Wiss joins the program. He'll get best bets for the weekend here on VSiN.
And we're out.
Okay, give me 1 sec. I need to load funds into my gaming apps.
Stormy, really